Traveling smarter. How to manage medications when traveling abroad. So you've been out on the boat all day and you've seen some really exotic marine animals and you've been chasing after them. After removing your dive gear, however, you feel the excitement fading, and in its place are the first tendrils of a pounding headache. You search through your dive bag and you realize you forgot to restock your ibuprofen medication before you left the country. On your way back to the resort, you wander through a nearby pharmacy and you look for the familiar boxes. Motrin, Tylenol, anything to stop the headache in its tracks. You find some medication labeled Panadol or paracetamol, which is the equivalent of acetaminophen in other countries. Having done your research, you grab it and you know that relief is on the way. This little vignette just shows you how a little preparation can go a long way when traveling to an unfamiliar country, particularly where the medicine names and the availability of prescription medications may not be the same as the country you come from. Use the internet and learn the variations in generic and brand names for familiar medications at your destination. Note any over-the-counter medications you often take for common issues, such as pain relief or gastrointestinal distress, heartburn or allergies, and the variations in medication in the countries where you'll be traveling. All this will make it a lot easier if you need to buy something while overseas. Knowing the laws of the countries you're visiting can prevent serious consequences, such as getting imprisoned for drug trafficking charges. Whatever the embassy or consulate is of the country that you're traveling to would be able to advise you on medications that are permitted, or particularly the ones that are not permitted. If you can't find it readily, you can call Dan or do a Google search. It's particularly important if you carry prescription medications that you follow a few basic rules to ensure that you don't get in an uncomfortable or even a life-threatening situation. Firstly, ask your prescribing doctor for a letter describing the medication or the medical condition for which you're taking the medication, as well as the medication and generic drug names. Depending on the language spoken where you're traveling, consider getting the letter translated and have a copy of the letter as well. If your particular medication is actually banned at your destination, discuss with your doctor some possible legal alternatives. Leave a copy of the prescription at home with someone you can contact if your copy gets lost. Make sure you bring enough of the dose and duration of the medication for your whole dive trip, and some extra just in case there are travel delays or other unforeseen circumstances. Consider packing the medication in different bags to mitigate the loss if any one piece of luggage is stolen or lost along the way. Or put them in your carry-on bag. Keep medication in their original labeled containers to avoid any complications. The packaging should be clearly labeled with your full name, the prescriber's name, the full medication name, and the dosage. Some countries allow only 30-day supply of certain medications, and insurance companies may cover only a limited amount. In either of these cases, it's important to discuss with your doctor how to arrange medications for a longer trip. If you need to travel with a controlled substance, you should contact the local embassy and make arrangements in advance. Despite careful planning, unexpected things do sometimes happen. And if you find yourself without the prescription you need, you can call Dan for help. Individual as well as family members are automatically enrolled when you're traveling abroad, and that includes a prescription coverage benefit. We'll accept international collect calls to cover the fees if that's the only way you can reach us. But we're also only an email away. These days it's really easy to communicate across the globe, but just make allowances for some time delays. DAN staff will consult your prescribing doctor, and after you've paid for the medication, we'll send it to your location, if it's of course legal and possible to do so. So if you ultimately do need help with your prescription, DAN is just a phone call or an email away.